Coming up on today's show, there is a quiet revolution brewing amongst American workers. Does it have to do with getting Gladys to stop microwaving tuna fish in the employee kitchen? No. Well, maybe. I don't know. That's not the only one. Plus, we'll welcome to the show Joe Rogan, Dave Smith, and Douglas Murray in a no-holds-barred debate over what exactly Israel is doing in Gaza. Dave says it's cleansing of the ethnic variety, while Murray says it's just a hot hello that's a little misunderstood. This is gonna be good. All that and a lot more coming up right now. Let's get started.
A lot more?
What? Yes, it is. There's a lot more.
I mean, it's more, but it's just some more.
It's a lot. There's a lot.
If you say so.
I don't need this from you, Gary. Is this because I stole your coleslaw yesterday?
It didn't help.
Just play the goddamn intro. Welcome to Unredacted Tonight. I'm the most censored comedian in America, Lee Camp. Work. It's one of those things that unites us, brings us together, creates community, and recently creates a community of people who hate their lives. If there's one thing we can come together on as Americans, it's that this is bullshit. Well, and also that the latest Snow White movie sucked ass. But I hear Disney's next movie, Lilo and Stitch, is supposed to be awesome. And they didn't pay me to say that. But if they'd like to, I'm here for it. Where were we? Yes, the American worker hates their lives. Sure, Trump is causing the stock markets to vibrate back and forth harder than an electric dildo during Mardi Gras on the San Andreas Fault. But that's not the only reason Americans are feeling insecure in their jobs right now. According to Gallup, a polling company by and for horses, we are now in what they've termed the Great Detachment, where Americans go to work every day but care about their jobs less than Bill Murray cares about Revitalift facial cream. And Revitalift did not pay me to say that. But if you'd like to, I'm here for it, Revitalift. Just 18% of Americans are extremely satisfied with their jobs today. 1 out of every 5 people you see is actually happy in their jobs. And if you see that 1 out of 5 out on the street, spray lemon juice in their eyes. All right, it doesn't count as assault, but it'll get the job done. What right do you have to be happy? Okay? Get miserable like the rest of us, assholes, or leave. Go to Bhutan or Switzerland where you can whistle and do cartwheels all day. This is America. Hate it or leave it. And the stats get even worse. The share of Americans watching for or actively seeking a new job has ticked up to 51% today. Plus, in the most recent poll of quiet quitting, basically only doing the bare minimum at the job, a couple years ago, Gallup found quiet quitters make up at least 50% of the U.S. workforce, probably more. And why shouldn't people be quiet quitting? Wage slavery is a shit way to set up a society. People are detached from their work. There's no passion there. And if you meet someone with passion for their work, most of the time, they aren't all there, okay? Oh, I just love making sure everyone filled out the forms correctly that they send to the city comptroller. That's my job. I love it. I do it all day. Really? Really? You love it? How much blow does one have to do for the comptroller forms job to be fun? Okay? I'd have to have blow, a beer helmet filled with alcoholic Slurpees, and one of those cool stress balls where you squeeze it and the eyes pop out of the head. I'd have to have all that to make that job fun for more than 9 seconds. Why are so many people in passionless swamps of careers? Because capitalism exploits us all without any concern for our lives or well-being. It is a system designed to raise those who are the most greedy, the most heartless, the least empathetic, and the most cutthroat to the top. If you show a deep concern for others, you are weeded out quicker than a black trans empath in the Trump administration. This soulless, detached wage slave system has resulted in just 45% of workers saying they know what's expected of them at work. 55% of workers don't even know what they're supposed to be doing. Sounds like Joe Biden when he was president. You remember those days? That was bananas. Trump, on the other hand, knows exactly what he's trying to do. But so did Mussolini and Alan Dulles and Toucan Sam on the Fruit Loops box. Never trusted that guy. And only 30% of Americans feel the mission of their company makes them feel like their job is important. Maybe it wouldn't be a big deal that so many of us are all at bullshit jobs if we didn't spend a third of our lives at those jobs. That's a lot of time to not know what you're doing, why you're doing it, or caring that it even gets done. Luckily, as with most problems we're facing in this world, the answers are out there. We just choose to ignore them. Sure, there's the largest answer of evolving beyond capitalism and beyond wage slavery to a much better, more fulfilling socioeconomic system. But that would take an evolved, rational group of humans. We are not that. We couldn't even solve the toilet paper problem during COVID. So no wonder we're not tackling capitalism right now. But there are loads of smaller, relatively easy solutions to making our lives a lot better. Things such as universal health care, more paid time off, more parental leave, free daycare, 4-day work weeks, universal basic income, and free cups of lean and Xanax in the break room. All of these things have been tested. They all work, and they all improve our lives. The 4-day work week and universal basic income have been tested more than Lance Armstrong. That's a bad example. Anyway, the tests have found that workers and management are happier and healthier, and that the businesses don't even lose productivity. They pump out all the same shit. For example, a trial run in the UK in 2022 found that 61 companies moved their employees to a 4-day work week with no reduction in pay. They began it as a 6-month experiment, but a year later, 54 of the companies still have the policy. Just over half have declared it permanent. Literally everything is exactly the same, except you're working 4 instead of 5 days a week. So why the hell is that not everywhere, permanent everywhere? It's only because it slightly decreases the amount of control the corporate anal polyps have over your average worker. As long as the biggest lunatics around have the most control and the most decision-making ability, then the rest of us will continue to be detached, disenchanted, and depressed. Also, Gladys, enough with microwave the goddamn tuna! It's bad enough we have to be at this crappy office job, and now our nostrils have to burn like we're living on a beach fishing vessel? Jesus! Sorry, I'm still upset about something that happened to me in 2004. And now, please welcome to the show Douglas Murray, Dave Smith, and Joe Rogan. Listen, we need some clarity on the whole Israel-Gaza situation. Some call it genocide, but I call those people rude. Luckily, Joe Rogan had on neoconservative author, journalist, and refined British gentleman fan of genocide, Douglas Murray, to debate comedian, commentator, and hoodie wearer Dave Smith. And Douglas Murray, who thinks the genocide in Gaza is the best thing since the cronut, starts out by dropping some truth bombs.
I feel you've opened the door to quite a lot of people who've now got a big platform who have been throwing out counter-historical stuff of a very dangerous kind.
Yes, thank you. We should not even be having this debate because other things on the Joe Rogan show in the past have been inaccurate. Thank you, Douglas. Finally, someone on Rogan is willing to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
You keep referring to we being in wars. There's a very big difference between a country having a military that's engaged and a country being at war. This country has not been at war for 25 years.
Yeah, the U.S. hasn't been at war for 25 years. Iraq doesn't count. Afghanistan doesn't count. Syria doesn't count. Libya doesn't count. Yemen doesn't count. Ukraine doesn't count. Basically, it only counts if the other country has their little guys marching through downtown Cincinnati. And by that definition, Vietnam didn't count. Korea didn't count. If we just bomb the shit out of someone from afar, it's not a war. It's just, we'll call it a hot hello. The U.S. is constantly involved in hot hellos around the world.
This country has not been at war for 25 years.
President George W. Bush's military dropped 70,000 bombs on 5 countries, but it didn't count. Obama dropped 100,000 bombs in 7 countries, but it didn't count. In Trump's first year in office, he averaged 121 bombs dropped per day for an annual total of 44,096, but it didn't count.
You've opened the door to quite a lot of people who've now got a big platform who have been throwing out counter-historical stuff of a very dangerous kind.
Not the best start for you, Dougie, but he's just getting warmed up.
Historically, America has liked to be on the side of people who desire freedom over autocracy. Counter-historical stuff of a very dangerous kind.
I'm sorry, we don't have the time on this show to list every dictator and brutal autocrat the U.S. has funded, armed, supported, championed, held birthday parties for, picked up their kids at school when they were in a pinch. But one that might come up a little later is the apartheid genocidal theocracy of Israel. Is that how you pronounce it? Israel? I haven't heard much about it. Anyway, continue breathing fire, Dougie.
It's pretty hard to listen to somebody who says, I don't know what I'm talking about, but now I'm going to talk.
Yes! Instead, when you don't know what you're talking about, you should claim you do, like Mr. Murray here. Dougie's getting back in the game. Anyway, let's move on to Gaza. Thank goodness Murray is here to be the only person not throwing out counter-historical bullshit.
The situation there, and the war of the last 18 months now, more than 18 months in the Middle East, is a result not of that, but of Hamas deciding to start another war with Israel and trying to annihilate their neighbor.
Yes! Bam! Take that! This was all started by Hamas on October 7th. I mean, sure. Gazans were imprisoned on a tiny area of land for decades under a brutal blockade with roughly 5,000 Gazans held hostage by Israel prior to October 7th. But that is all water under the siege, my friends. Doesn't matter. Everything, including Douglas Murray's memory, begins October 7th, 2023. And because of that one day, Israel gets to genocide millions of people who had nothing to do with October 7th. Those are the rules of international something. I'm not sure what. Anyway, Dave Smith, what's your rebuttal?
So if Israel props up this terrorist organization and then as a response to them committing a horrific act of terrorism, decides to level the entire place and just slaughter women and children.
Douglas, you better get in there. This isn't looking too good.
And just slaughter women and children in large numbers.
It didn't decide to do that, and it didn't do that.
So we're denying Israel has killed over 50,000 people? That's an interesting debate tactic, but okay, sure. Israel didn't do anything. Kill who? What even is Israel? Never heard of it. Israel has been framed. They've been framed for this whole thing. They weren't even there on that day or that 18 months. They were at a friend's bachelor party, okay? They have witnesses. I'm sorry. Is it like, yeah, thing?
In
It
large
didn't decide
numbers.
to do that, and it didn't do that. But yeah,
it didn't level the place. Hasn't been
Gaza
destroyed.
is pretty leveled by now.
Yeah,
but it did not go in to level the place like that.
Right. So they did commit genocide, but they didn't mean to. It's just, 1 minute you're hanging out with your friends, and then one of them's like, what if we just killed a few thousand people? And then you each keep trying to one-up each other. And before you even really know it, it's a genocide night, right? We've all been there. And you get home and your wife is like, where have you been all night? Dougie, this... I don't actually know if this is your best argument. Maybe we should change the subject.
What's happening here in the United States of America? It blows my mind, much of the response here. And the desire to leap over the first victims of this.
Exactly. Why hasn't October 7th, 2023, which is one of the most reported on events in Western media in the history of the world, why hasn't it ever been reported on? I don't even know what October 7th is. Is that when the groundhog saw his shadow, or is that the first date of Elton John's comeback tour? Who knows?
You've opened the door to quite a lot of people who've now got a big platform who have been throwing out counter-historical stuff of a very dangerous kind.
Who played that clip? What? Gary, don't play that. Don't play that anymore, ever, okay? I'm sorry about the goddamn coleslaw. Let's move on so Dougie can get back to dunking on this anti-historian.
Israel went from occupying the place to surrounding the place. And they've had it under a brutal blockade since 2007. And yes, you were right that it was...
Why do you... I don't agree the blockade was brutal by any means.
Thank you. It wasn't brutal. Israel was just stopping guns from getting in. I mean, sure, in 2012, Israel was forced to disclose its Red Lines document, drafted in early 2008, while the health ministry determined that Gazans needed a daily average of 2,279 calories each to avoid malnutrition, requiring 170 trucks a day. Israeli military officials then found a host of pretexts to whittle down that number of trucks to a fraction of the original figure. An average of only 67 trucks entered Gaza daily. So Israel was strategically starving Gaza going all the way back to 2008.
No, there was not starvation in Gaza after 2005. No, there was no deficit of goods coming in. I've been plenty of times.
There was no deficit?
No.
Dougie, you might want to back out of this corner you're in. Arguing that a very well-documented blockade of Gaza never existed is not great. Pull the ripcord.
There was no deficit?
No, there are plenty.
No goods were kept out.
There are plenty. How many? Have you been to the crossing points?
No.
When were you last there at all?
I've never been.
You've never been?
Perfect escape. The old, you can't talk about this because you haven't been there gambit. Love it, love it. Stop talking about the losing debate you were having and shift to the fact the other person hasn't been somewhere or hasn't read a specific book or whatever. Hell, one time I shifted an argument to how the guy I was debating couldn't possibly know the truth about the JFK assassination because he had on a toupee. It's a beautiful tactic.
I mean, now I slightly get an idea of where you're coming from. You've read about this blockade, and so you imagine that that's what it is.
Ah, yes. A blockade is not a blockade unless you've been to the blockade. It's like Schrodinger's cat. The blockade is both there and not there until such time as you observe it, and then it condenses down to a single reality. Everyone knows that. Similarly, a genocide is not a genocide until you've been to the genocide. The U.S. never dropped the atomic bombs on Japan because who really saw it happen? Genocide of the Native Americans from the 16 to 1800s never took place. Were you there? Anyone you know being there? Give me a call when you've been. Let's move on. Dougie, got any other ways we could maybe blame the genocide of Gazans on Gazans? Because that would be really useful in this debate.
You believe in self-determination, I'm sure. Yes.
I believe in individual rights. Yeah, sure.
Okay, individual rights. And that includes the right to make bad decisions.
Sure.
Yes. The Palestinians in Gaza, when they voted in Hamas, made a very bad decision.
Yeah.
Yowza! Hamas was elected in 2006, and therefore Israel gets to ethnically cleanse all of them forevers. Douglas Murray for the win. Yes, it was almost 20 years ago, and sure, over 50% of Gazans are under 18, meaning over 50% of Gazans weren't even born when the vote happened, but not being born is no excuse, okay? If the people of Gaza wanted a peaceful world and truly wanted to avoid war, they would have found a way to vote before they were born. Okay? That's the power of democracy. And as we all know, voting for something as a country means that every man, woman, and child can be executed for a bad vote. I personally didn't vote for Donald Trump or Biden or Obama or George W. Bush, but simply because some people did, it means all Americans can now be ethnically cleansed because those presidents sucked. Pretty sure that's how international law works.
You keep playing this game where it's like the whole opening to this podcast was like the non-experts talking about this is such a problem. Now you're saying because I haven't been there, I can't talk about it. Is there a blockade there that's causing economic devastation or not? According to the World Bank, there is.
Oh, shit. Now Douglas is going to have to answer. The World Bank says there's a blockade, as do countless humanitarian organizations. It's not really a secret that there's a brutal blockade. Douglas, is there a blockade or not?
According to the World Bank, there is.
First of all, I don't think it's a game. I don't think it's a game at all.
Yeah, let's focus on the word game for the next 5 minutes. I haven't seen a dodge that good since Donald Trump dodged the draft by saying he had bone spurs. Douglas Murray is a master debater, and he got this good by master debating a lot alone in his basement to a poster of Margaret Thatcher stepping on a disabled person's neck. But let's move on. Dougie, other than the 15 reasons you've said no one is allowed to talk about the genocide, is there any other reason you support it?
The reason why the hostages have been released, the numbers that have, is because of constant kinetic force by the IDF.
Wow! Constant kinetic force by the IDF is the best euphemism for genocide I have ever heard. That was awesome. You phrase it like that, and I don't know why anyone has a problem with genocide. It's just constant kinetic force. Remember when Jeffrey Dahmer used all that constant kinetic force on all those innocent people? Like, I thought it was bad at the time, but it sounds pretty dope now.
It's horrible, the war in Gaza.
What? Douglas, you're admitting this is a horrible genocide? No, not you too, man. You were the shining light, the lodestar, the beacon on the hill. If a beacon on a hill were saying that bombing babies is fine, don't tell me you're admitting the war on Gaza is horrible for the millions of innocent people.
It's horrible, the war in Gaza. It's horrible that young Israelis have to go in yet again.
Oh, thank God. He's only concerned for the poor IDF. He's got the feels for the genocidal oppressors. That was close. I thought we were going to get some real human empathy for the victims out of Douglas Murray, and that would have been horrifying. It's so uncomfortable. It'd be like getting a hug from Hillary Clinton. Everyone would have to look away and then burn their clothes and bathe in rubbing alcohol. Anyway, Murray wraps up this master debating with this declaration.
If you have, or anyone else has, and I say this genuinely, a better way to get back the hostages and to destroy Hamas, I at any rate am all ears.
So true. So true. There is no way to deal with Hamas other than murdering children, bombing hospitals, bombing schools, bulldozing cemeteries, killing more journalists than any war, starving innocents, attacking aid convoys, torturing and killing UN employees, and just in general having a bloodthirsty apartheid theocracy. It's the only way. Coincidentally, that's also the only way to be accepted as a member of Mar-a-Lago. And it's interesting, Israel has to do all that to get the hostages back, considering that seems to be what's killing the hostages. And even the families of the hostages say that Netanyahu and the other maniacs don't care about the hostages at all. Douglas Murray, thank you for master debating all over us. And thank you for teaching us that it is possible to lack all human empathy. And I trust you on that subject because you've been there your whole life. And now, here are your headlines from the future. Coming up in 1 week, we'll learn J.D. Vance placed on White House lawn to make it look more festive. Oh, he's so adorable. And in 2 years, we'll read people worried about the rise of AI, relieved to learn that all AI bots will soon look like your deceased grandma. It's going to be great. Coming up in June, we'll find out Trump says he's proud to strengthen public schools by reducing the total number nationwide to 3, located in Eagle Butte, Montana. And finally, just 5 days from now, we'll hear, after a ruling by the U.S. Federal Court of Appeals, Red Bull slogan changed to Red Bull gives you ringworm. That's the show. I'll see you in 1 week. But remember, this YouTube channel could be banned at any time, so please make sure you join my free email list by texting the word unredacted to 33777 inside the U.S. Outside the U.S., you can also sign up at leecamp.com. Until next time, remember, the revolution will have laughter. Keep fighting.